probably the most anticipated game of the year is launching, Black Myth Wukong. And then also launching is Concord. And Concord has, technically it's not launching, it's like early access, because they're doing 3-day early access if you buy the deluxe. So you can play it early if you do that, which is great. And you know, people are checking it out. People are interested, you know, as they see itching to play Concord this week, jump to the front line and get your digital deluxe copy so you can play tomorrow. It's true. That's Dread Roberts, itching to erase this game from my mind. No, put it on PS Plus. People are so mean. Oh gods. Anyway, that's happening. But I think to celebrate this momentous occasion, we should look at another attempt to build a remarkable, tremendous, in the words of its creator, billion-dollar IP. Okay? Because this is not the first time somebody's come along and tried to do something kind of similar to another game. Okay? Somebody in chat the other day asked if we could look back at this video, and we've looked at it before, but I want to bring it up again because I just find it so fascinating, and it's honestly just bizarre. So I don't think we ever did a Luke Stevens live segment on it, but I do want to look back at this just because I find it thoroughly entertaining. And that is the story of Lawbreakers. Lawbreakers, if you're not familiar, was an attempted live service game that wanted to take on the industry, and in the words of its creator, Cliff Bleszinski, a guy who previously basically ran Gears of War, this was going to be the next billion-dollar IP. Little oopsie, they put it out right around the time that Overwatch came out and took the world by storm and totally dominated everything. And despite the fact that it was a relatively original 5v5 or 6v6, I guess, rather, hero shooter, it ended up just taking a nosedive and not performing. And in this video, you get a vibe for why and some of the basic marketing mistakes that were made.
The Dark Souls of competitive first-person shooters. We just didn't do the same archetypes that other shooter character-based games do, with the bow guy and then the gnome with, you know, the turret, or the classic medic with the noodle that heals people. We did our own things. I started writing down all sorts of ideas and just stupid sketches and everything like that. And I went around and met with EA, Activision, Ubisoft, and I put the book down and I'd be like, I want to make another billion-dollar IP.
Organized insanity.
Gravity-defying combat.
This is Lawbreakers right here.
So basically what it was is a hero shooter that kind of mixed a lot of the complexities of something like Unreal Tournament. It had this cool gravity well mechanics. So like there were these balls in the arena that had gravity pull, and then other zero gravity areas. So you could jump out and like swing around things. Cool movement, really trippy. It was quite difficult. I remember playing it during like a beta or something and having a decent time with it, but it was a steep learning curve. And it initially like was free to play. I believe they're going to get to it. It was free to play, and then they converted out of that because they just realized they needed to make money up front because this probably wasn't going to pop off, and it just ended up being a total disaster.
At the end of a match, I was shaking because my adrenaline was pumping.
It's crazy.
Movement's fantastic. The floor is lava. It's something brand new. It's not comparable. You can't compare it to anything.
Like Overwatch, but better.
When Overwatch announcement trailer hit, and Matt Fishman looked at the trailer and he goes, "Oh fuck."
So this isn't Overwatch.
No, it's over.
So this isn't Overwatch? It's like your grandma watching Star Wars. Which one is Star? You know, just totally not getting it. This is the problem with any of these games entering into the same kind of market, is just that no matter what you do, you will be compared to your peers. Whether or not that's truly fair, it will happen. In the case of this game, it was compared to Overwatch a lot, even though it's totally different. Has way more movement, has way more complex movement, certainly. It's a fundamentally different type of game, much higher skill level as well, but it was compared to Overwatch. And the second it started being compared to Overwatch, they couldn't shake it. They tried, they really tried, but they couldn't shake it because it's just what people understood these games to be. Oh, it's a hero shooter, so it's like Overwatch. And I'm sure for the devs, that was like an instant migraine, but once you're compared to it, you can't shake it. And you have to figure out, like, how are we going to differentiate ourselves? How are we going to say, like, sure, we're similar to that, but we're better, and here's why. Ideally, you're not compared to anything, and you are your totally own type of game, and nobody can compare to anything. That's the ideal, but from the outset, this was immediately compared to Overwatch, and they were never able to shake it despite really, really trying.
Overwatch plus Unreal.
Similar to Overwatch.
Basically Overwatch with an anti-gravity field mechanic.
They're mixing the class systems of Overwatch with your more twitchy gameplay of Unreal Tournament.
Overwatch-oriented hero shooter.
It's familiar to Overwatch, and as much as you get triggered by hearing the word Overwatch while you're playing Lawbreakers, they are part of the same extended family of games.
Also, what kind of psychopath puts their abilities on the numpad? So I guess maybe if you're left-handed, then it would make sense if your right hand's free, but I'm thinking of this as like, oh, you're right-handed, so then you lift your hand off the mouse and then you tap something on your numpad. That's insane. Maybe he is left-handed, I don't know. Otherwise, that's crazy.
The hero shooter genre.
We were being compared to other games in the genre as our competitors, and alongside those, that's, we felt like we
looks like Overwatch, Battleborn, and Gigantic G's. Looks like COD plus Black Ops 3 plus Titanfall plus Crisis 3 plus TF2 plus Dirty Bomb. Looks good, but is every goddamn first-person shooter on the market going to be effing sci-fi based and have cloned ideas from each other other than Titanfall, Destiny, Call of Duty, Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty, Black Ops 3, and now this seriously going to run it into the goddamn market? Why are all these TF2 clones coming out at the same time? Where's the true Arena F2P shooters? Anyone who says this is anything like UT is tripping. So it's basically Overwatch then. Like, these were the comments. This is what people thought. And whether you like it or not, or you think it's fair or not, that's what gamers are feeling. And it's the same thing with Concord, where people say, oh, so it's like Overwatch. They're like, no, we have different stuff. You have to bring a roster of heroes, and then you have to swap them out. And there's story vignettes. It doesn't matter how you can justify it. The takeaway for people is that it's like Overwatch. Yeah, the mouse has a numpad. I have seen some of those mice, but typically they don't show numpad unless it's that one that they have for like MMOs with like 7 or 8 buttons on the side. But typically these are their own buttons. I don't know.
didn't belong there with some of those comparisons.
Install that Chrome thing that removes YouTube comments for you.
Oh, you're just a Overwatch ripoff, and it's like, well, we were working on everything we knew for this game before we even saw Overwatch.
We're actually
which is true. They were working on this game well before Overwatch popped out. That's true. My point is just that it doesn't matter. It's like they say in politics, if you're explaining, you're losing, you know? If you ever find yourself in a position like Cliff trying to sell your game and you're explaining away something, you're already on the back foot, like you're in trouble.
Happy that there's games like that, Overwatch and Gigantic out there, so we can actually look at what they're doing and specifically say, let's not go in that direction.
Lawbreakers, the upcoming game from Gears of War designer Cliff Bleszinski's new studio, is no longer free to play. Bleszinski explained that the business model simply wasn't the right fit for the game.
$29.99.
Man, it's not good if you announce free to play and then you decide to start taking people's money. And the impression, like they could justify it, be like, oh, well, we didn't want to do battle passes. We didn't want to charge you for all these extra cosmetics. We just wanted to do this and do it that way. We felt this is the more pro-consumer way of doing it without toxically relying on whales to keep our game afloat. They could say that, but the impression is that they're just trying to get $30 out of you because the game's going to flop. And they just want a little bit of money to recoup their investment. Just a little. You know, that's the impression it gives. It's just really bad to pivot into something worse. It's like announcing your game at $40 and be like, actually, it's 70 now. It feels bad. It might be because the game's so much more ambitious than you originally planned and it's way bigger and there's more people working on it, sure, blah, blah, blah. But the impression is you're just trying to milk people for a little bit more.
None of that $60 multiplayer only bullshit. $29.99.
Okay.
It's none of that $60 multiplayer only bullshit. Right.
$29.99, none of that $60 multiplayer only bullshit.
$29.99. None of that $60 multiplayer only bullshit.
And it's up on the Steam wishlist right now, Lawbreakers. You can wishlist on Steam, which is very cool.
Silence, dude. It's so painful.
You also recently announced that the game's coming to PlayStation 4.
Because I hate Xbox.
PS4,
yep.
PC, but no Xbox, right?
Yeah, and those Xbox fanboys are pretty salty.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, they supported you for a long time.
This was not an...
I think Cliff is probably a nice guy. I've never met him. I don't know. But I do get the impression that he's trying to be funny about this and laugh it off. But he got his start and blew up because he made like Gears of War, a huge Xbox franchise. And then he just like kind of throws them to the wolves. And I understand, again, it's maybe a business decision. Hey, Sony offered us more money for the exclusivity, so we decided to partner with PlayStation on this. I get that, but the impression, again, is that you're screwing over the fan base that already was a fan of yours, but now you're like laughing at them and mocking them as fanboys. Like, come on.
Those Xbox fanboys are pretty salty.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, he pauses for the laugh, and Jeff just doesn't bite, so it's really weird.
Well, you know, they supported you for a long time.
This was not a situation of I don't like Xbox because some of the fans feel betrayed that Xbox built you who you are. And I'm like,
right, yeah.
Look, I get you have feelings, that's cool, but this is a fucking business.
Yeah.
I'm well known in PC circles for talking trash about the PC as a platform in the past. I was wrong, okay?
Let's see what he said in 2008 during a Q&A for Gears of War 2 was, quote, "The person who is savvy enough to want to have a good good PC to upgrade their video card is a person who is savvy enough to know BitTorrent, all the elements, so they can pirate software. Therefore, high-end video games are suffering very much on the PC." So again, just the reaffirmation of kind of the myth of piracy on PC. Piracy is a thing on PC, but Gabe Newell, the head of Steam, the big man himself, he actually frames this. I mean, he runs Steam. If anybody would understand piracy on PC, it's Gabe. And his policy is that, no, it's not actually an issue of price point. It's not because they're just like pissy. It's because of service. When you offer a better service to pirates or would-be pirates, they will, in the vast majority of cases, go and purchase the game through official means. Like, one of the best examples is like updates. If you want performance updates and improvements to your games, if you pirate it, you don't get those. If you buy it through Steam, you get all of those updates. You know, you get all the Steam Workshop, you get all those offerings that make the experience even better and smoother for players. And so people stop pirating because they don't feel like it's the best value. Like they can get a better value by giving the money up front, and then they get all these extra services that make it justified, you know, which is great to see.
Let it go, people.
The beauty of the PC, and this isn't to slag anything about consoles because maybe the game could come to consoles eventually, leading with PC first and foremost allows us to be agile.
It's such a fun, exciting game. I did get my hands on it, but I think a lot of the players are going to be really excited to get this Dead Zone Deluxe Edition because it adds so much in the form of colors.
Oh my god. Look at these guns. Oh.
Ooh. Oh. Oh.
Loot boxes, baby.
Finally got an exotic skin.
I think it's the best FPS game I've played in a long time, actually.
Super addicting.
It's a blast.
Fucking awesome.
It's grudge match time. Ready defense, Lawbreakers like, yes, there is. Stop it in his tracks.
Everybody always asks, is this game going to be an esport? Are you going to be an esport? And like, I tweeted, like, you know, if E3 hadn't even started yet, and I wanted to stab somebody who says that word.
We are here with the Lawbreakers Best of Game.
I think the takeaway is just that he should not be allowed to market his own games because he has a chronic case of foot and mouth disease. Like, he cannot stop.
Come community tournaments.
We want to be more like a Rocket League or Warframe in regards to kind of like sneakily kind of becoming a thing before anybody realizes it. Because I was looking at, you know, like the top 10 lists of games, and everyone's excited for Beyond Good and Evil, as they should, but the majority of the things I saw are just existing brands.
Right.
I mean, the Spider-Man game looks great, right? But it's like, it's more Spider-Man. Yeah. You know, try something a little bit new and different.
And so AAA, and these are all fantastic games, by the way, I'm not knocking them, but it feels like it's just this category of 8 games that we're getting repeatedly over and over again.
How are you kind of communicating to your community that...
Dude, the lack of self-awareness is so ridiculous. Complaining about lack of originality while also doing that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, thank you guys for the super chats. I will catch up on those just a moment once we wrap this.
Your game is different than something like Overwatch or Team Fortress. How can you convince a group of people not to just immediately group it and saying, this one is by a different company, I want to pick that one over yours, not even give yours a chance?
I think the marketing is going to be a big part of it.
Chaos.
That, I think, is a very fair answer. Marketing was the big part of it. Again, I think he's somebody that absolutely should not be marketing stuff. I understand he has name recognition, but that's not always a good thing. And I'm sure, I bet Cliff is a nice guy. I'd love to get a drink with him sometime. But I would tell him to his face, yeah, I think with the gaming public, I think you're maybe not the best representative for your projects.
So intense.
The graphics are fantastic. It's insane. It's very energetic. I'm into it. I feel it. It's actually one of the faster games I've ever played.
So much like you can't take your eyes off the screens.
You have to always be going. You can be shot at from all sides. Like above and around and behind you. Yeah, I'm so good.
And I was just like, woo! And then everyone's dead. Everyone.
Played Overwatch, it's absolutely fantastic. Blizzard can do no wrong. But I think one of the main things that's going to make us stand out is our tone. The fact that we're kind of a mature rated game, or kind of more of an adult one. Our world is less saturated. It's not fully day-glow like a lot of those characters. And a lot of those games, as great as they look like they're for a younger crowd. Filmed with whimsical characters instead of, you know, ones that I find aspirational that are a little bit more Quentin Tarantino. Overwatch feels like it's kind of skewed, you know, towards a kind of an anime fan type vibe, right?
Hey, Gravity! Oh, yeah!
Gameplay is awesome.
It was so fun. It's an utter blast.
I was shaking after the matches ended. It was like a high.
One of the fastest games that I've ever played.
Are you ready for another one? I'm like, I just need a minute, man. I'm shaking. I'm shaking over here.
I unretired not only to like make great games, but for the fans who are willing to scar their bodies.
Dude, imagine getting the Lawbreakers look. Like, if you're a dev and you spent 5 years of your life on this, I could see getting a tattoo, because whether it's successful or not, it's a part of your life. I could see that. But being a fan and getting a tattoo of it, man, that's got to be awkward as hell. That's got to be real awkward. You can't even, I don't think you can even play the game right now. Steam charts 2020 update. Current players 0. Last 30-day average 0.2. Looks like someone opened the game. Dude, it's crazy.
It's not easy. It's difficult.
I lost.
I think the thing people are going to find in this game the most enjoyable is simply how difficult it is.
It's so frustratingly hard that it makes you want to keep playing the game so that you get better.
We may have very well made the Dark Souls of shooters.
That's a claim.
Okay.
It is.
That's a claim. Even the people that he's talking to try and like hype his game up are like, Dark Souls. Okay. Like, people throw that term around a lot now. But I mean, even back in like 2016 or whenever this was, people were throwing it out a lot, and it was just like, maybe 2017. I guess it was 2017. Yeah, I think it was 2017. No, June 11th. So it launched August of 2018. Is that right? Made free to play on Steam. Server shut down by September 14th, 2018. Yeah, anyway, even back then, people threw it around a lot. And it basically was just code for the game's hard. And it drives me crazy that that's how whittled down it gets.
I did it, dude. I did it.
Well done. I never felt more tested.
It makes you think in a completely different way.
The fastest speed I've ever seen in my life.
I get what he was doing. He said it's the Dark Souls of first-person shooters, and then like an actual child won the little tournament that they did. So I get what he was doing. Some of those kids are crazy good, though. If you've never seen some of those kids play like Fortnite and stuff, it's ridiculous.
Every single chance I get to play, I play. Competitively, this game is perfect.
The gameplay is perfect. It feels just right. There's not a single complaint.
10 out of 10, 11 out of 10.
It was insane. It was incredible. It was an experience. I'm coming back tomorrow. I'm waiting in line. I don't care. I just want to throw my money at you guys.
This game won me over. I'll play this all day.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, that's what you want. Like, that's... Especially when there's that 20-second timer adds that urgency. So
we're finally getting a lot of hype for the game, where I'm starting to see people with the Deadzo logo walking around the show floor. We have that great banner outside, and the end is near, but it's really the beginning.
Uh-oh. August 2017.
StatCruncher Get Hype reports that Lawbreakers launch numbers are down 60% from the beta, topping out at a total of 3,000 concurrent players. Those numbers are...
Hold on. Hear that again. Hear that again.
StatCruncher Get Hype reports that Lawbreakers launch numbers are down 60% from the beta, topping out at a total of 3,000 concurrent players. Those
Down 60% from the beta, which was free to play, because I remember I played it. I didn't buy the game, but I played it. And they topped out at 3,000. Now, what game is about to launch which the beta topped out just under 3,000? The beta did. Oh, deja vu indeed. Except now it's worse. Concord's free open beta performed worse than launch day Lawbreakers, or launch week Lawbreakers. That's not good.
numbers are even worse than last year's Battleborn at launch.
Lawbreakers has unique mechanics, but because the market has been saturated with games like Lawbreakers over the last year, it's a much harder sell.
Tell me, is there dedicated service?
Yes.
Okay, right. For PC and PS4?
Yes.
Wait, was that young Shillup? It's okay. His name is Skillup. It's Skillup. His name's Ralph or something, but look how little he is. He actually looks like exactly the same. I if you told me this was filmed yesterday, I wouldn't be able to tell. Australians don't age. I don't know what to tell you. He's Australian, right? If he's not, this is gonna be really awkward. But it's the fallacy of these live service games, man. Like people, like these companies think that they can just go in there and make a really solid game and that it will therefore pop off. And it's just not that simple. Unfortunate with live service games. With single player games, I think that's broadly true. If the game's really good, it will find an audience eventually. But with live service stuff, you are trying to steal players away from other games that already exist, that they're already playing. Okay, Jamie says he's Korean. How dare you? And so unless the game has like everything working for it, or unless you're Blizzard, it's just not going to happen. It just doesn't happen that way, you know? And Lawbreakers is a great example of a solid game. I think Lawbreakers was a solid game, a good game. And if it still existed, I'd be happier for it. But it was just trying to go into a market that was hyper dense and overpopulated to begin with. And so I'm not particularly shocked that the story ended the way that it did. But that's unfortunately the policy and the approach that a lot of these publishers have to take, where they just throw crap at the wall and pray to God it sticks. And if it doesn't, they're like, oh, well, we tried. We'll try again next year with a different live service game.
Okay, right. For PC and PS4?
Yes. If this game hits as we hope it's going to hit, we'll hopefully never be done for years. And the whole thing that people want to assume there only has to be one winner. You know, let Overwatch be the Goliath that it is. You know, there's room for Battlefield and Call of Duty. There's room for Tekken and Street Fighter. There's room for multiple games in a genre. The problem is there's usually only room for about 3.
and everybody after that is, picking up the scraps. So we hope we can at least be 2 or 3 in that space.
Oops. So we watch this to look back at the past, at history, and potentially learn from it. Now, will anybody actually learn from it? No, of course not. We're about to get Concord launching tomorrow, and I think we all know how that story is going to end. But they are seemingly just going to send it and hope for the best. And maybe, technically, there is a universe in which it could pop off. You know, maybe. There's a universe in a timeline far removed from ours where Concord launches, people start playing it. I was actually gonna say, like, maybe if Mr. Beast gave it, I think that actually might turn people off now. But like, if it became, I don't know, dude. I'm trying to think of like a scenario where it pops off. Like somehow some giga celebrity starts playing it, and like maybe I was gonna say Drake again, but Drake, people would be like, maybe don't go to a platform known for attracting children. This is the worst timeline. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that's a good point, Jamie. I guess DSP could promote it, and whatever he says now, he's like, what's his thing recently? He's been like, oh, you get like, you've been felted, which is apparently like a poker term. I don't know. Kai, that's a good example. If Kai started playing it and he genuinely loved it, and then people started buying it and playing it so that they could maybe hop on stream with him and maybe end up in his party, maybe that could do it. I could see that if Kai and Speed played it together on stream, like they're playing Minecraft right now, I think that could do well. I could see that, but that's like really the only scenario where I could see it popping off. And even then, I don't think it finds long-term success. I don't think that would lead to it being successful a year from now, you know? He took my thing.